Last year I applied because I was looking for a new experience. I was kind of tired of like the standard office jobs that you have day to day.
I think like everyone else, I wanted to work outside in the summer, and I also have very little gardening experience. And I wanted to get some, and I wanted to learn about growing my own food.
I like being a part of projects and organizations that help other people, especially Indigenous people.
I'd only really had kind of more normal jobs before, and I wanted to have one where I was working outside and where I was working with my hands, and I guess more importantly, doing something that you feel like is important for like a broader community.
Askîy is the Cree word for garden. Askîy in the name askîy project is earth, so if it was translated into English it would be the earth project. In 2014, 2 interns started a rooftop garden. The 2 interns from 2014 were the coordinators for last year's project too, so they brought the knowledge that they learned from the year before to our project last year. So this whole area is a former gas station owned by Imperial Esso, and it is considered a brownfield site, which essentially means that it is real or perceived contamination of the ground. We use the barrels either cut sideways or lengthwise as our main growing area.
I feel like container gardens limit you a little bit to what you can grow. So we're growing lots of leafy green vegetables, which are like ready to harvest now. Tons of tomatoes, tons of peppers, different types of peppers, lots of herbs, cucumbers, squash, radishes, beets, green onion. We've sold already to the Boxcar Cafe, which is a business in Station 20 West. And then we will be selling at the farmers market.
The medicine wheel teaching is a big aspect of our garden. The medicine wheel teachings is basically the circle of life. In our herb garden we have the 4 different colors. They represent the 4 stages of life, and it's very tied into what we do in the garden, like the stages of life with our plants. They start out as seeds, and then they become smaller seedlings, and then they grow into big plants, and then eventually they die off, and that's kind of like the circle of life.
It's been incredible to see the change from the first time I got to the garden here to today. Not having gardened before, I never had that experience of seeing things grow.
Coming here, I learned a lot about gardening and plants and so much more that I think I'll be using many times in the future.
I don't think I realized when I first started that we were growing in containers, so I've learned about urban agriculture as opposed to just gardening in the soil.
With the amount of autonomy that we have here, we're able to make a lot of our own decisions, and that leads to getting some skills with small business management, and then there's just a lot of team management and team building skills that are really important.
When I got the chance to express my ideas in the garden, it really felt like a dream job. When I got paint, it just kind of opened up my mind to the things that I could do in the garden.
For myself personally, I learned a lot about gardening last year, but I also learned a lot about myself too, like in terms of who I am as an Indigenous person. And I think the biggest thing that you can do is form new friendships. It just goes to show that no matter what type of gardening experience you have, you can, and if you really want to, you will grow your own food.
Urban agriculture is important because it shows people that you can plant in an urban setting. I like that the askîy project is here, right on 20th Street, and it lets people who hang out in this area know that their part of the city is being put to good use. The people in this neighborhood are really respectful and keeping our garden part of the community.
I think it's important, especially if you're somebody from Saskatoon who doesn't come from this community like me, like I was raised on the east side, but it's still important to feel connected to, I think, everywhere in Saskatoon, especially the heart of the city, like the core neighborhoods, and that is really valuable, I think, for broadening your perspective.
Well, I think it's important to us because we're all very young, and so to learn about urban agriculture and how to grow our own food, to know about that at a young age, I think empowers us for the rest of our lives.
Last year was a really great group, and I feel like this year is a really great group too. And I'm looking forward to our next intern that's going to be hired, and to see what they can bring and what we can all do together. So.